Hi, welcome to Lesson 25, Session 1. Today we're going to be starting a whole new unit. This is the beginning of Unit 4. And we are going to be covering all things about converting measurement units. So we're going to be working today in our Ready Classroom math workbook on pages 509 through 512. So actually we can go ahead and go there now. There is one more thing that you are going to need. I'm going to show it to you right now. And that is a math reference sheet that's going to have a little bit of information on it that's really going to help you as we go throughout these probably next couple of weeks. It's something that you might want to slip into like a sheet protector because you're definitely going to be using this reference sheet. So go ahead and turn in your book to page 509, and then I will show you that reference sheet. Okay, so this is the reference sheet that I'm talking about. And what this is it is a reference sheet that shows you length of measurements and their equivalent unit. So for example, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, 1 yard is 3 feet, 1 mile is 5,280 feet, and 1 mile is also 1,760 yards. So these unit conversions, a lot of the times the book will give it to you, but not always. And I feel like these unit conversions are going to be very helpful. We have our customary system, which is the system we typically use in the United States. And then we also have the metric system. The metric system is used a little bit more often over in Europe, but it definitely is a system that is still used in the United States. And then we also have our units of time. They've also included the area and perimeter formulas as well in case you need those, but we won't need those right now. So you will definitely want to keep this sheet handy. If you don't have this, you can always check in with your teacher to find out where you can get this from. Okay, so we are going to be on page 509. So it says this: you have worked with measurement units in earlier grades. Now you will convert between different units in the same measurement system. Use what you know to try and solve the problem below. So it says this: Lyra finds an antique dresser that is 4 feet wide. She wants to know if it'll fit in her room. She measures the space in inches. How many inches wide is the dresser? So first of all, what is it this problem is talking about? This problem is talking about a dresser. It's Lyra's dresser. It's what she's going to put her clothes in. And she wants to know how many inches wide is the dresser. How many inches wide is the dresser? We know that it is 4 feet wide, so that's definitely important information. And then the other important information is actually not per se in the question or in the math problem. It's actually down here below the math problem. This little piece of information here says that 1 foot equals 12 inches. That's going to be very helpful for us in solving how many inches is in 4 feet. So if we were going to solve this, there's a couple of ways. We could just simply use an equation. We know that we have a dresser that is 4 feet wide. We also know that we have that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So we know that we're going to need to multiply these 4 feet by 12 inches because we have 4 feet and we know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. So now we need to know what 4 feet equals. So we're going to multiply 4 feet times 12 inches. And that's going to give us our total number of inches. So what is 4 times 12? That equals 48. And then we'll keep the same, we'll keep it as inches because now we have converted our feet to inches. Now we could also draw a picture. So if we had this dresser, and we know that this dresser is 4 feet wide. So each of these, this is 4 feet, okay, from here to here. Then we know that in 1 foot, there are 12 inches. because we know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. So in this foot, there's 12 inches. In this foot, there's 12 inches. In this foot, 12 inches. And then finally in this foot, 12 inches. So then all we would need to do is figure out how many we have in all. So we could go 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, or we could do 4 times 12 because we can see here that we have 4 and 12. Regardless, we're still going to get 48 inches. Now, what I find funny about this question is that it says here she wants to know if it will fit in her room. We have no idea if it will fit in her room. All we know is that she measures the space in inches, so we have no idea if it's going to fit because we don't know how many inches she had. But we at least know that this dresser from here to here is 48 inches. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next page. All right, so on the next page, it says this. Looking at the problem on the previous page, is the number of inches in 4 feet greater than or less than the number of feet? Well, we know that we were talking about 4 feet, and we had 48 inches in 4 feet. So which number is greater? That's right, the 48 inches. So we know that the number of inches is greater because an inch is smaller than a foot. So it will take more inches to measure the same length. So whenever we have a value that is smaller, I'm going to go ahead and show you my little cheat sheet here. You can finish typing that down, right? Not typing that. You can finish writing that out while I show you this little conversion here. So it says, whenever we will always multiply when we convert a larger unit to a smaller unit. So for example, oh, look at it, it's the same one numbers we just used. If we have 4 feet, that is our larger unit because a foot is larger than an inch. Not when we say larger unit, that means we're talking about just the foot or the inches. You might have a bigger number here. See how 12 is bigger than 4, but the feet are much larger than inches. So anytime we are trying to convert a larger unit to a smaller unit, we're going to take the larger unit and multiply it by the number of smaller units in one larger unit. So that we know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. And then the final resulting answer will be the number of smaller units in the total larger unit. So feet times inches equals more inches because there are more inches in 4 feet. There are more inches in than there would be feet. That sounds confusing when I say it, but I promise you it's way easier than that. Now, we solve this problem using the relationship between units to find the equivalent measure. You can use what you know about unit sizes and operations to convert other measurement units. The table shows equivalent measurements of weight. So this is a table here. So looking at this table, is an ounce a smaller unit or larger unit than a pound? So which is an ounce a smaller unit or a larger unit than a pound? That's right, it's a smaller unit. The way that we know that an ounce is a smaller unit than a pound is because you can put 16 ounces into 1 pound. So you cannot put a pound into an ounce because a pound would be much too large, but you can put 16 ounces into a pound. So a melon weighs about 2 pounds. How many ounces is 2 pounds? Well, if 1 pound is 16 ounces, we know that 2 pounds is going to be twice as much as 16 ounces. So 2 pounds is going to be 2 pounds times 16 ounces in 1 pound, which equals 32 ounces. because you're going to multiply the total number of pounds you have times the number of ounces in 1 pound to get your total number of ounces. Now, suppose a basket of melons weighs 64 ounces. Is the weight in pounds greater than or less than 64 pounds? How do you know? Well, 64 ounces, remember, ounces are a much smaller unit. So 64 ounces is going to be way lighter than 64 pounds. 64 pounds probably weighs about what most of you in 5th grade weigh. So 64 ounces is like the size of, when you go to the grocery store and you get a 64-ounce soda. Well, you shouldn't be, but pretend like you were. Then a 64-ounce soda would be, those are fluid ounces, but the point is it's a much smaller amount. So is the weight in pounds greater than or less than 64 pounds? So I'm going to say I know that 64 ounces is much less than 64 pounds because there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. So now we're going to go ahead and complete this table to convert all of these ounces to pounds. So we know that 16 ounces is 1 pound. We know from the work we did up above that 32 ounces is the same as 2 pounds. 3 pounds must be, well, if we go from 16 to 32, that means that each time we go up, we're adding 16. So if we added 16 to 32, that would be 48. So 3 pounds would be 48 ounces, and 64, because if we add 16 to 18, 16 to 48, we get 64. And 64 ounces would be, that's right, 4 pounds, because each time we go up in pounds, we're only going up by 1 pound each time. So 64 ounces equals 4 pounds. Now for the reflection piece, it says this. Describe a real-world object that can be measured using 2 different units and tell which 2 units you could use. Which unit would you need more of to measure the object? If I wanted to measure my desk, it would be about 2 feet wide. I could also say it is 24 inches wide because 1 foot is 12 inches. I would need more inches to measure than I would feet. Once you have that written down, you can pause the video here if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to go to the graphic organizer on page 511. Now, this graphic organizer is talking about equivalent measurements. So what are equivalent measurements? They are measurements that have the same value but are in different units. So there are measurements like, for example, 1 yard that have the same length, but 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So 1 yard and 3 feet are equivalent measurements. They're both the same size, but they both have different values. 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. 1 quart is equal to 4 cups. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. And then I drew 1 foot here and showing you that 12 inches would take the same amount of space as the 1 foot. 1 day is equal to 24 hours. 1 hour is 60 minutes. 1 pound is 16 ounces. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. That's why we measure cars in like tons, because they are so many pounds that it makes way more sense to measure a car in tons than it does to measure it in pounds. So you're going to go ahead and finish writing this down. When you are finished, you're going to do numbers 2, 3, and 4 on pages 511 and 512. If you have any questions, just remember you can always ask your teacher. See you next time.